Hi, welcome to another preview numbers and prediction. This week, the CFP Alabama Crimson Tide take on FCS University of Chattanooga, the Mocs. And what is a mock? Well, it's kind of an amalgamation or recovery of their traditional logo, which was the moccasins. And we're talking not moccasins as in water moccasins that we have so many of here in the South, but the moccasins you put on your feet. And the people at the university thought that might be offensive because it has Native American imagery. So they shortened the name to the Mocs, tagged that against the Tennessee state bird, the mockingbird, and added in the train logo, Chattanooga being a train town in its early days. And you have the Chattanooga Mocs with all the branding imagery that comes along with it. And Scrappy is their dressed up person in a furry outfit, a furry bird outfit. And that is called Scrappy because of Coach A.C. Scrappy Moore, 1931 to 1967 at University of Chattanooga. And there you have a little extra information. Let's look at the schedules. And unsurprisingly, they have not played any common opponents. Alabama's 9-1. The Mocs come in at an outstanding 7-3 record against the FCS opponents. If we take a look at a basic overview of the team, as I said, 9-1 for Alabama. The Mocs are at 7-3. Alabama has a college football playoff ranking. They're currently number 8 in the nation. The FCS ranking for the Mocs is an outstanding number 16. Power Index ranking is another place where there's a difference between the two leagues. Alabama is below a few of those Big Ten schools at number 4 overall, non-applicable for the Mocs. Home record, home game for Alabama in Tuscaloosa. It's been a home campaign. If ever there's a year for Alabama to do well, it's this year. They are 6-0? No, they're 6-1. We wish we were 7-0, but actually that's a mistake there. Please forgive me. I was at the Texas game. It's one I don't want to remember, and evidently when I'm doing the statistics, I forgot it. 6-1. Away record for the Mocs outstanding at 4-1. The significant home win for Alabama is Tennessee. Significant away win for the Mocs, and it wasn't really a win, but it was an outstanding game, was against number 2 FCS. Mercer had to come back late in the game to take that one. If you look at the total offense and total defense rankings, again, two different conferences, or actually not conferences, two different leagues. You have Alabama coming in at 64 in total offense. Total offense ranking for Chattanooga is number 21 in the FCS. If you look at total defense, 23 for Alabama, 41 for the Mocs. Points per game, Alabama scores on average 34 points per game. The Mocs very close to that at 32. It's the defense where there's a bit of a difference. Alabama giving up only 18 points to that Power Index ranking 4 schedule on average, and the Mocs give up 21 points. Turnover margin for both teams is a good one, meaning that it's positive. Alabama is at +3. They evened it out there in the last game. Turnover margin for the Mocs is outstanding. They are very opportunistic. They've stolen the ball 7 more times than they've donated it to the other team. Penalties per game is about the same at 6 for Alabama and 5 for the Mocs. And time of possession, the Mocs are a bit greedier than Alabama at 32 minutes per game on average. Let's take a look at the efficiencies and the passing. We compare the offense to the defense for both teams. So we'll start with the Alabama offense and versus the Chattanooga defense. Alabama's third down efficiency is outstanding, almost at 50%. They're number 12 in the nation. The Mocs, on the other hand, their defense gives up the first down only 39% of the time. So there's going to be a bit of a meeting of the helmets there. Fourth down efficiency, Alabama doesn't tend to go for fourth downs. Their record shows that. They're 1 for 2 at 50%. and the Mocs give up the fourth down to the opposing team at a rate of about 50%. They faced 8, giving up 4. The passing ranking for Alabama is number 64. The passing defense ranking in the FCS, and I got to be careful how I say that because I keep saying FCF, which is functional check flight. When the fighter went in for the maintenance, before it went back out into the wild, one of us pilots had to take it up for the functional check flight. So anyway, there you have it. That one's free. Attempts per game, Alabama will hurl the ball an average of 23 times. The Mocs opponents, they tend to throw the ball 42 times per game on average. That's what the defense sees. Alabama, a medium rate, 226 yards per game through the air. The Mocs only give up 198, so they see a bunch of passes, but they only give up 198 yards per game on average to the air. Yards per attempt and completion, you can see that almost 10 yards for attempt, almost 16 yards for completion for Alabama. The Mocs defense is stingier than that on average. They give up nearly 7 yards per attempt and almost 12 yards per completion. The Mocs are stingy in terms of stealing the ball out of the air. You got to watch them because they will take what you're not watching. They've intercepted 9 balls. Alabama's given up 6 interceptions and, more importantly, 37 sacks. I mean, that's the sins of the father, not really the sins of them. Earlier in the year, giving up sacks, the line has come together a bit better over recent games, and they give up less sacks per game. Can't blame the line for all of it, though. As we all well know who've been watching Alabama football, the Mocs are not very hospitable to their opposing quarterbacks. Outstanding at they've sacked their opponents 30 times. Passing efficiency on average for Alabama is going to be at a decent 62%. The Mocs limit their opponents to a passing efficiency at 58%. Now let's switch it around and take a look at the Moc offense versus the Bama defense. Third down efficiency, the Mocs could probably do better there. They're at 38%. Alabama's opposition can expect 35% success rate against the Bama defense. Fourth down efficiency, same number for the Mocs on both offense and defense. 50%, they're 4 for 8. Alabama tends to stop the fourth down attempts. They see a lot of them because they're ahead in general at the end of the game. Alabama has seen 23 attempts at fourth down, with only 7 of them being successful. The offense, number 15 for the Mocs in terms of passing in the FCS. The Alabama pass defense is towards the upper end at 33. Attempts per game, the Mocs will hurl the ball 31 times. Alabama, almost exactly the same in terms of what they see their opponents doing. They can expect 32 passes per game, so it won't be anything different for them. Yards per game through the air, the Mocs have a decent 274 yards per game on average. Alabama's opponents can expect to gain 201 yards per game in the air, and that's after facing elite quarterbacks this year, LSU, Tennessee, you name it. Yards per attempt, the Mocs decent at 9 yards per attempt, and completion is an outstanding 14.5 yards per completion. Just like the Mocs defense was stingy, so is Alabama. The opponents can expect 6.3 yards per attempt and 10 yards, 10.5 yards when they complete the ball. The Mocs have given up the ball 8 times through interception. Alabama has snatched it out of the air 9 times. Sacks given up, the Mocs tend to protect their quarterback. The quarterback gets the ball out of his hands. So they've only given up 17 sacks this year. Alabama has made an outstanding 32 sacks. They're number 9 in the CFP in terms of sacks. The Mocs efficiency rating is exactly the same as Alabama's at 62%, and Alabama allows their opponents a slightly stingier 60% passing efficiency. Let's switch to offense. We'll start out with the Bama offense versus the Chattanooga defense. Alabama's rushing ranking is number 60 in the CFP. We expect for them to try to up that capability during this game, given that the opponent yards per attempt for the Chattanooga defense, they give up 4.3 yards per attempt. So we're going to see some rushing, at least early on in this game, from Alabama. The rush defense ranking is at number 47 in the FCS for Chattanooga. And when you look at the number of teams in the CFP versus the FCS, 130 teams are in the Alabama's league, and about, I think it was 133 teams, somewhere north of 130 in the FCS. So it's pretty comparable when you look at these numbers. Yards per game for rushing for Alabama is 162 on average, 40 attempts. That gives them about a 4.06 yards per carry average. The Mocs see the opponent carry the ball 32 times, so they'll be seeing a little more running than they're used to in this game. Fumbles lost, Alabama is at an excellent 4. When you look at it, that's a rate of 1 fumble per 100 rushes. That's not that bad. Fumbles recovered, though, the Mocs are more opportunistic than that. They can expect to take the ball away from their opponents 1 per 36 attempts, which when you look at attempts per game at 40 for Alabama, 1 per 36, things are going to collide. Now let's put Chattanooga on the rushing offense, Alabama on the rushing defense. Chattanooga's rushing ranking in the FCS is at number 66, whereas for the CFP, the Alabama defense is number 29 in the nation. Chattanooga attempts to rush the ball 38 times per game, very close to Alabama's 40, and Alabama sees the opponent. They give up after 33. Yards per game, 141 on the offense for the Mocs, averaging 3.72 yards a carry. Alabama gives up 117 yards per game and only 3.55 yards on average per carry. It kind of went south on them when the LSU quarterback ran for nearly 200 yards in that one game. He was an outstanding player. Fumbles lost. The Mocs protect the ball quite well. 5 fumbles. Alabama's only recovered 4 this year. The fumble rate, the takeaway rate is almost the same at roughly 1 per 80 for both the offense of the Mocs and the Bama defense. If you take a look at the special teams, pretty much negligible for kickoff returns and punt returns for both teams. Both teams have an outstanding field goal kicker. Alabama is at 88%. Field goals good, and the Chattanooga Mocs are at 95%. They've attempted 22 field goals and been successful on 21 of those times. The average net punting yards is almost exactly the same. Let's look at the key matchups. I could only boil down a few of them in this game. The number 4 power team and the CFP versus the number 16 FCS team. I think there's going to be a definite advantage to Bama on that one. The number 12 third down offense, that's Alabama, versus the number 31 third down defense for the FCS, that would be the Mocs, advantage Alabama. And when you look at the rushing, Alabama averages roughly 4 yards per attempt. The Mocs give up 4.3 yards per attempt, so there's definitely an advantage for Alabama in that key matchup. There are keys to victory for both teams. For Alabama, respect your opponent. This is a trap. I mean, you think you might have a walkover. It's not a walkover. They're a decent team. They're an excellent team with a 7-3 record. A team with pride, a team that's used to winning. So don't assume anything. The score is 0-0 right now, and it's going to remain that way until somebody scores, and then we'll find out what the final score is when the final whistle is blown. Be the time travelers team, in other words, control the clock. For Chattanooga, your key to victory, attitude. You deserve to be there. You're a winning football team. You're big. You're fast too. Don't let the CFP ranking intimidate you. You got to live for the moment. In the fighter world, Flying a fighter is a series of constant corrections. You can't worry about the mistake you made 5 minutes ago. You got to worry about controlling the aircraft and accomplishing the mission every moment that you're sitting in that seat. Live for the moment, one play at a time. You're good at controlling the clock, Chattanooga. Try to control the clock in this game and you will increase your chances to win. You're going to have to commit to run defense early. Alabama is still trying to establish their run this late in the season. You can expect them to continue trying to establish the run, at least at the outset of this game. What is the line? Alabama's a prohibited favorite in this one. The spread is 45.5 points. If you look at ESPN's matchup predictor, they have Alabama winning 99% of the time. It's not 100%. It means that their computer simulations showed Chattanooga winning this game some of the time. Let's check of the game time weather forecast. It's going to be an outstanding day there in Tuscaloosa. It's going to be 66 degrees. It's going to feel like 66 degrees. In those rare times when the shade covers you, it's going to feel like 62. So it's not going to be cold at all for us South Alabama folks with a very thin blood. The temperature and humidity, our dew point, have a decent spread, though there is going to only be 48% humidity, cloud cover at 3%. So bring your shades, bring your hat, put on your sunscreen. Visibility clear in a million. You'll be able to see the next state. It's going to be so clear. The only issue might be the wind, 9 miles per hour with gusts up to 17. It could create some havoc with the passing game and certainly with the kicking game. So that's the Vegas line. What do I think is going to happen? I think Alabama will win this game. I think Chattanooga will score in this game. I think they'll score a touchdown, and I don't see any way that you can keep that outstanding field goal kicker of theirs from putting the ball between the posts at least one time. Coach Saban tends to underplay the big favorites and overplay when the spread is a lot closer. So in terms of betting, I think I would stay away from this game. So that's my numbers, my preview, my prediction, all the above. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Also, I'm hoping that you make it to the game safely if you're going, that you make it home safely, but as importantly, that all the players get through this game on both teams healthy, no injuries whatsoever, that it's a good, honest game. And I would appreciate it if you would like and subscribe. It helps me, but it also helps my family. Cheers, and we'll see you next week. We're going to have a little